Everybody, welcome to another chit chat with my mom. And if you don't know who my mom is, she is a world-renowned astrologer. Her name is Wendy, known all over for being a total badass with astrology, and not just astrology, but tarot, like color therapy and Akashic records, and you name it. And it's awesome because every now and then I get to sit down with my mom and talk about what is going on and getting the lowdown on what's happening with the planets and how that's affecting us and the world and everything that's going on. So if you want to stay connected with her, all the links are below. Make sure you subscribe to her newsletter. It's awesome. She sends you out monthly updates on everything that's going on astrologically. And also, if you want to have a reading with her, she does amazing readings. And they're not just these little pitsy little astrology reading in the newspaper. This is like some in-depth. She sits with you for well over an hour. Like, she'll talk to you about everything. She records it. It's life-changing. So you can connect with her. All her information is below. My name is Misty Tripoli. I am the founder of the World Groove Movement, which is just helping rise consciousness through the joy of dancing. So, Mom, let's get started.
Well, I wanted you to take a minute and tell them about your cenote in Mexico, where you live, and what you're doing with that. I think it's so marvelous.
Oh, well, for those of you that don't know me, or you may know who I am from Utah, but I spent most of my adult life in California. I moved to Mexico about 13 years ago. And I remember when I first moved here, if you've ever been in a cenote is it's the underground water cave, and some are open and some are actual caves. And I remember going into it for the first time, and the moment I went into one, I was like, the coolest thing in the whole world would to actually have a cenote in my backyard. So you have a natural swimming pool and you get to jump into the earth. And so like 12 years ago, I made that statement, like, I want a cenote. And during COVID, a cenote found me. And since then, I have been putting together a completely off-grid, fully self-sustained, from water, electricity, food, everything, creating a beautiful self-sustained land for me, and hopefully helping the people that are around me. And it's been an amazing, wild journey. So that's what I'm up to right now, along with spreading the love of dance throughout the world. This is what I do for my own joy.
Well, tell them a little bit about your flipping your frequencies.
Yeah, this is really important because, during when COVID hit, I went into like deep, like sucked into listening, watching the news, everything, because you're locked at home. What else are you going to do? So I really got sucked into, and I actually realized I was starting to be very fearful, and not just fearful, but angry about what was happening, because one of my core values is freedom. And anything that takes my freedom away, I have a problem with. I don't care what it is. And I was traveling for a living. I traveled for a living, and that all stopped. I couldn't travel. I couldn't go where I wanted. I couldn't do what I wanted. And so I kind of really just dove deep into what was happening and paying attention to social media and watching the news, and just it was basically fear porn on crack. And I realized I had gotten sucked into it, and I got into a really dark place, and I was on a real big high before that, and it brought me down. And I realized like my money stopped, like everything started to stop, because when I woke up to the fact that it was because I was in a really bad frequency. I was trying to stay on this high frequency, but all the news and everything that was happening around the world got me so into this fear-based, like, restriction in my life, even to express myself, to manifest, because I feel like I'm a manifesting machine. And then I finally realized that it's like, yes, I want to be informed. This is why I love having these chit chats with my mom, because it's getting a higher level of information that's affecting us, but then making sure that the most important thing, in fact, the greatest rebellion, is to live a joyous life. Like, that's true rebellion, is to live happy and be happy, because I think the powers maybe want us in fear, and they want us terrified because then they can control us, and then we're crippled. So I made a huge shift. Just God, this was maybe even like 8 months ago, 7, 8 months ago, back into my joy, back into my power, and really connecting with nature. I'd go to my land and I would just sit there during the day and just connect with nature. The frequency of nature is so high that to really connect with it and raise my vibration. And within a very short period of time, everything started to turn around again for me. Getting out of the fear, getting out of the the anger, because it was fear and anger. That so many people are getting away with so many terrible things, and that really ticks me off. But making sure that not to let that control my life and who I am, and that I love having the information. I love informing myself. My brain loves to know. But at the end of the day, my heart and my soul, and this is for all of you out there, how important it is that we actually still continue, no matter what happens, to find the things that bring us joy and to keep our frequency as high as possible. Because when your frequency is high, that's where you get to manifest. And this is a great opportunity, especially as things are changing. So, and Mom's going to talk about this, the way things are changing and how fast they're changing, and just the stuff that's coming, how important it is that we stay rooted and grounded in our joy and our power, and keeping our frequency as high as possible, so that you can use this as an opportunity to actually manifest whatever you want. I'm manifesting more now than I have before. And even though the world feels like it's crumbling around sometimes, it's like, no, as long as I stay tuned in and consistent, and knowing that whatever created me wants me to be happy and joyful, and wants me to have everything that I desire, because I didn't put those desires in me. Whatever created me put those desires in me. My job is just to align with them and to keep my frequency high. So I was grateful that I was able to make that shift about 8 months ago, because I was getting scared again. I was like, I'm running out of money. What am I gonna do? And it's hard not to go down that hole and get stuck in it, because you can't see the way out. And how important it is to have faith. How important it is to just raise your frequency and have faith that the visions you have that have been given to you, that you didn't create the visions. I know that when we go into we do things we love, we get these beautiful visions of what we want to create and the things we want to do. But I don't think we make that up. I think those are you're tuning into your what I call the what is it, the golden road to your bliss. And it's showing you images of what that is, and to follow that, and how important it is to keep your frequency high. So
Awesome. I love what you said about aligning with our visions. I really like that term. I think that's so good. So,
and it's all frequency, baby.
yeah.
Frequency.
Yeah. Bring it up and get out of fear. They can only control us if they make us fearful. They can't control us if we're not afraid.
That's what I mean. The greatest rebellion is to live a joyful, happy life.
Yeah.
And not let them, don't let the fear mongers monger you.
Right.
You better than that.
Yeah. Well, before I get started on this, I wanted to remind people too that the energies that I'm going to tell you about are trigger points. Things may not happen on the exact days, but they trigger activity that will happen. But I have no idea exactly what time it'll happen. Only that, if it's imminent, it's imminent, but exactly when, I can't tell you. So I'll just give
just the moment it sets that in motion.
Right. And sometimes with some of the aspects, the energies have been building for a long time, and a trigger will come and it'll pop those energies out and let them express, like a volcano eruption, that kind of thing, where the energies underneath have been building for so long, it has to erupt and let those energies out. So that's kind of what the triggers are. But March is a month of big change. Okay. It's a turning point in the world. And when we look at the planets, all but 3 planets are going to change signs in March, which is so interesting. That doesn't happen very often. So The sun moves into is in Pisces now, but it moves into Aries on the 21st. Mercury is in Pisces, moved into Pisces, I think on the 3rd, and then it will move into Aries on the 19th. Venus is in Aries now, and it moves into Taurus on the 16th. So Mars has been in Gemini for 7.5 months, and it's going direct now, but it moves into Cancer on the 25th. Jupiter stays in Aries, Uranus stays in Taurus, Neptune stays in Pisces, but Pluto is dipping its toe into Aquarius, and it will be in Aquarius for about 4.5 months. And then it will go back into Capricorn. It moves so slowly that it kind of goes back and forth for a period of time, but it will give us a little bit of the flavor of what that means. Okay. Now, as of tomorrow, we will have 4 planets in Pisces because Saturn is moving. Did I not put Saturn on here? I didn't. Saturn tomorrow, that's so funny. I didn't do that. Saturn moves into Pisces tomorrow. It's been in Aquarius. So that's the other one that moves. It moves on the 7th tomorrow into Pisces, and that will mean 4 planets in Pisces, which is interesting energy. We've talked about Pisces energy and Neptunian energy. I've talked in many videos about the things that that has to do with, from the savior complex, if you just do what we tell you, you'll be saved. Wrong. And then insanity, people believing things that are just insane, spiritual advancement, which is so huge, and creativity. All of those things go with Pisces. One of the downsides is, though, seeing clearly, because Neptune and Pisces is like water, like the ocean. You can't see in there very far unless you get up like in the Yucatan Peninsula, where it's just crystal clear and turquoise. But in general, the ocean is very cloudy. And so clarity is difficult. But with Saturn moving into Pisces, I think it will add some clarity, some structure, because Pisces isn't structured at all. And so Saturn moving in will create some structure. Now it will be, oh my gosh, another like 27 years before Saturn goes back into Aquarius, where it's been for the last almost 2 years. So anyway, lots of changes in elements. Okay. When we had Mars in Gemini, which it still is right now, and Aquarius, Saturn in Aquarius, there was more rationale, more logic used in our thinking. But when it's all in Pisces, it's more emotion, it's more drama. So you want to watch your emotions, that you don't let your emotions overtake what's good for you. Okay. And I've said this for a long time, and I truly believe this. You need to be emotionally neutral, because when you become overly emotional, what happens? You give away your power to whatever causes that emotion.
Yep.
And then you can't see clearly. You're giving away parts of yourself to these emotional things that you cannot change. And only give emotion and energy to those things that you can change, like Misty, realizing that her thought processes and her frequency was too low. So she went through the necessary steps to bring it back up. Now you can change that.
But it requires, like, you have to focus and discipline, because there's so many things coming at us from everything, that it's like really to maintain, you've got to find the practices in your life that keep you grounded and centered and even keel, and and like the what you always say, this too shall pass. Whatever it is, it's gonna pass. And don't get so caught up in it while it's happening that it steals who you are, because you're just wrapped up in it. If you just wait it out, it's all gonna pass.
Yeah. Put your emotion and your energy into doing things like Misty did, getting outside, being in nature, doing things that make you happy and that bring you joy, whether it's singing or dancing or painting or whatever it is you want to do it.
Or just sitting picking your nose.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter as long as it calms you down, gets you centered. Like the art of doing nothing is a beautiful art. Just to sit and be and just breathe and just
Yeah.
enjoy a moment of complete relaxation. Like anything you can do to keep yourself centered and
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. So tomorrow is the full moon in Virgo. Let's talk a little bit about that. It's the Virgo Pisces axis. The sun is in Pisces and the moon is in Virgo. And so what you want to do with Virgo, Virgo is all about purification and perfecting the body, okay? And clearing the mind of old identities. Don't bring toxic past into the future, okay? Which will drag you down. You want to clear out those toxins in your body. Now, Virgo also represents natural modes of healing, using the earth, using the plants, that kind of thing. And so spend some time analyzing what is it that you're putting in your body that maybe is harmful. And what can you put in your body to get rid of some things, maybe allergies or whatever, pain, whatever, that are natural that can help you move forward. I think that's very important. Now, Pisces is about compassionate service, care, and helping people heal. And so I think we've got this axis of healing here. And we want to really be focusing on that for the next little while, because that's what Virgo and Pisces are good at. Now, one of the very interesting things about this full moon, this is the 6th full moon in a row that's at 16 degrees of the sign. That is so unusual. And interestingly enough, there's one more, which will be in April, will be at 16 degrees. Very unusual. When you look at the tarot, the 16th major arcana is the Tower. And if you don't know about the tarot, the Tower means, everything turns upside down and changes. Now, it all is better for it when it's done. Everything turns out to be for our benefit. But during it, it can be pretty dicey. So now, during this moon at 16 degrees, it's square Mars. Now, what have I told you about Mars energy? Aggression, warlike energy, okay? Anger, vitriol, fire, explosions, all of that kind of stuff. And the moon is also in a trine to Uranus. Uranus is quick and sudden changes, okay? Uranus and Taurus. It could be anything to do with food or things in the earth, earthquakes, any of those kinds of things. And so this nice, calm Virgo Pisces moon, with how it's aspected, can trigger can take an unusual turn that we don't expect. Okay. And there could be angry communication. So just be patient, be watchful, sit back, listen. You don't have to get involved. You don't have to have an opinion. Just listen. You don't have to be right. You don't have to have an opinion. Just listen. Form your own opinions within yourself. And that's all it needs to be. We're not going to convince other people of things. So you might as well just learn that right now. Just form your own opinions and don't worry about it. Now, with these 4 planets in Pisces, okay, this is wonderful for spiritual growth and for creativity. So this is a time if you wanted to start learning how to do something like painting or, dancing, doing Misty's program, whatever it is you want to do, this is a really, really good time to do it, okay? One of the things about this Neptune and Pisces is spiritual revival. It has to do with increasing your spirituality. And if you've been keeping track on alternative media, you have been seeing that there is this massive, huge spiritual revival going on. And very interesting. I watched this interview with Chelsea Grammer. You know, he's been a favorite of ours for a long time, Frasier, and, you know, so all of those fun shows. And he stars in a new movie called The Jesus Revolution. And it's a true story where he plays this preacher and whose flock was falling apart, and then some hippies came in and literally changed the course of everything. Now this movie has doubled, tripled what they thought it would do at the box office, and you can look at it now. And when Chelsea was talking about it, he started to cry. He said, "This is the most wonderful thing I have ever done, and it's changing people's lives." And, you know, I've always thought he was a good person. You know, he has a good energy. But every time I've seen three interviews now, every time he cries, he says, "I'm sorry," you know, but it's meant so much to me that I hope it means to other people what it's meant to me. Everybody who I've talked to who's watched it says, "Oh my gosh, you got to see it. It's just phenomenal." And
Is it in the theaters?
yes, it's in the theaters right now.
And it's called what?
The
Jesus?
Jesus Revolution. Yeah. And it's a true story about this guy who totally turned his church around. And there are people, he says, that I run into people all the time that say, "Oh yeah, he baptized me. Oh yeah, I took this from him. Oh, he taught me so much. Oh, he helped me so much." So it's interesting. I haven't seen it yet. I'm not much for going into the theaters. I'm hoping it comes out, you know, online pretty soon. The other thing that has gone absolutely bonkers is the series called The Chosen. If you haven't heard of it, if you haven't watched it, oh my gosh. It's all about the life of Jesus based on the scriptures. Okay. They're not writing different accounts. They add a little drama here or there, but it's basically very accurate. And the company that has created the series is called angel.com. And you can go on angel.com and you can watch it for free. And there are 3 seasons right now, and they are really good. And this guy who plays Jesus is just spectacular. And I just finished it at season 3, but I don't know how long it's going to keep going, but I can't think of what his name is, but he also plays a very powerful role in the Jesus Revolution. They hired him to do that. He's become so popular playing
Oh,
Jesus.
interesting.
Yeah.
So angel.com.
Angel.com, you can watch The Chosen for free. And it's so interesting because they have a little button that says on there, "You're welcome to watch it free. Just know that this person paid for you to be able to watch this free." And there's a button that says "Pay it forward." You can donate money and pay it forward so other people can watch. I mean, the whole principle of it is just wonderful. So let it be known that this revival into Christianity and belief in Jesus is huge right now, and not just in the United States, it's all over the world. And
But is it just Christianity or is it spirituality in general? Some
spirituality,
people, because some people don't like believe
right,
in Jesus or what that might be, but it's
right,
just returning to your spiritual. I
roots,
was like, what you say is like the God of your
God of
understanding,
your understanding, right? Whatever
and
that
yeah, and reconnecting to that in whatever. And I don't believe there's any right or wrong. It's like there's all
it's the
these
heart.
things that all point to the same thing.
Yeah, it's the heart. It's the sincerity of the heart and the soul, being a good person, wanting to do the right thing, and overcoming every, you know, it's like I say in astrology, everybody has the gifts and challenges. The goal is to maximize the gifts and to minimize the challenges, you know. And so as we get older, we master ourselves. That's the key. We don't change other people. We don't try and master other people. We master ourselves. And that's what the goal is. But I wanted to give you a little parable in a way. How many of you remember the 3 little pigs? And I was listening to this spiritual teacher that I like to listen to on YouTube. And that's my church on Sundays. And he's a wonderful teacher who's very well versed in scriptures of all kinds, Jewish as well as, Christian. And so he talks about, his name is Theodore Nottingham, by the way. I would recommend him to everybody. Great, great lessons. But he says, the three little pigs, he said, the first little pig built his home with straw. He was careless, self-serving, and when the winds came, it blew his house down. And the second little pig, he built his house on the sand. And when the he had shifting ideas and shifting faith and no consistency. And so when the rains came, he was confronted with all of that, and his house went down with the shifting sands of change. And then he said the third little pig built his house with bricks on a solid foundation. When the turbulence came, he had a solid, stable foundation and was able to weather the storms. And then, of course, he likened this as an important lesson to what are you doing with your spirituality? Is it shifting? Are you not being consistent? Are you just kind of fly by night with it? Is it shifting? I mean, you hear one person and you follow them, and then you hear another person and you follow them. And then when the rains come, you don't know what to believe, who to believe in. But if you build it on a solid spiritual foundation, whatever you believe in, whether it's whatever religion or whether there's no religion, it's just in scripture, you'll be on a solid foundation, and you won't fall as all of these very difficult things are happening on the planet. So really think about that. A lot of people are feeling the call. I certainly have felt the call to be much more consistent with my prayers, my devotions, and my reading and study. And it's made a big difference in how I feel. So I encourage everybody to be like the third little pig. Build your faith on a solid foundation and do it now. Don't wait. Don't put it off. If you're feeling the call, do that. Okay.
Even like what you're saying, it's so important because like, I know exactly what you're saying. Like, I have this deep calling, this deep feeling of like this communion with nature and how important it is that I set clear boundaries to have that space and have that time. That like this, like something inside of me saying, Misty, this is what you need to do. Like this is, and if you have that, anything inside of you, that you honor it, and that is your higher self communicating with you what you need to do to build your foundation solid. Because it's going to guide you. It's not like you have to go, oh, what should I do? If you just tune in and you really pay attention, it's communicating with you.
Yeah. No, it's wonderful. And I had, when I left Mormonism years ago, I'd kind of thrown the baby out with the bathwater and kind of started doing my own things. And now I've gone back to reading the Bible, and man, I'm learning so many things I never learned before. It's been so fascinating. I thoroughly enjoy it. And sometimes the stories are so rich. It's like, I can't put it down. I want to keep reading and reading and reading because it's so rich. It's a good word for it. But these planets in Pisces, guys, are pushing us in these directions, and they help bring the peace that passeth all understanding. When no matter what's going on, we feel at peace. And that's the goal. That's what we want. Now, they'll also help for you to have stronger intuition and probably a much stronger bullshit meter. Because your frequency's higher, and so you can see through stuff that is BS, right? Okay. Now, with the emphasis with the 4 planets in Pisces, it has to do with the water, and I've talked about this in that last little 10-minute video. If you haven't watched it, watch it. But the emphasis is on water. So there's going to be more information coming up out of the water, more issues with the water. So pay attention to that. Also, issues with toxicity in the water. And we're really struggling with that right now. Okay. The water in your body that's toxic, water that's in your food, where the food is grown with toxicity. You know, there are all kinds of issues. You want to make sure that your water is as pure as it can be. And there are things going on the planet that are horrible, that are destroying the purity of our water. And we'll talk about that towards the end. So I want you to be really careful of what you see coming out of the water. Also, cargo ships and munitions and big ships from other countries moving around in the water, okay? Getting ready for something, who knows? So also planes and air travel, and unidentified objects in the skies. That's all part of what's going on. And that's ruled, what the skies are ruled by Pisces as well. So there's all kinds of stuff being seen in the news. Disruption in flights. Now, this can be a real problem. Now, it happened during Christmas, and then it's happened randomly since, but we're not being told the truth about why. Those things will come out, you know.
Yeah, I've been told by people that have been traveling that
Yeah.
it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Like hours and hours and lines and just like,
Yeah, but don't buy into what they're telling you, because you do need a strong BS meter when you listen to things like that. But you have to understand that things are going on behind the surface that we don't yet see. But they're going to be revealed. That's another thing about this time. The deep secrets, underbelly is being exposed, especially with Saturn in Capricorn at the very end of its cycle before it moves into Aquarius. This is a time of huge secrets being revealed, and they're coming out daily. It's going to be like an avalanche before the end of the month. You can rest on that. Okay. A steady breakouts of something very important is unfolding, and a lot of it has to do with the drug companies, okay, the drug cartel, and those things unfolding, shocking secrets that will affect the whole world. Okay, so just expect that this month. That stuff is going to be coming out. Now, by the 21st, no, okay, I'll get back to that. By the 21st, we have 4 planets in Aries, because 2 of them that are in Pisces shift to Aries. Okay, so, and Aries is ruled by Mars. That's our aggressive. Aries is this aggressive, forward, competitive energy that wants to be right all the time, you know, and it gets angry, and it has to do with all of the vitriol and the wars and all of that stuff. So we'll have.
and you add that with Mars.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
so that makes it even more aggressive and
Yeah.
more.
Yes, and this moon that we have on, let's see, did I not mention that? This moon tomorrow has to do with, yes, no, it's the next moon. Yeah, no, this moon is squared Mars and trine Uranus. Yeah, I did say that. Okay, so it's squared Mars, but then by the 21st, we'll have 4 planets in Aries, which will make that energy very strong, that warlike energy. So things will really heat up. But on the 21st is when, and this is so interesting, is the 2 planets, the moon and the sun, because this is the new moon, are at 0 degrees Aries. So it's just starting into Aries. That's like total new beginnings.
On the 21st.
21st, and that's the new moon. Okay, and so we have the sun and the moon at 0 degrees, and at this new moon there's going to be lots of aggression and anger, but it will smooth out considerably by April. So know that Getting through March is going to be a little tough because of all the new revelations and all the anger and all the aggressive energy, but they'll get a lot better in April. This is a turning point. March is. Okay. Now, with all the planets in Aries, maybe we will see with more clarity too, more direction. With Pisces, there's not a lot of direction. It's in and out and in and out. But with the planets in Aries, I think you're going to see more direction, more clarity, okay, of what's going to be happening. Now, there is very, very strong earthquake energy. And you need to be aware of this. That, in fact, this first week has very consistent energies that are that have been studies. It's called planetary geometry that come about when there's going to be bigger earthquakes. So it's very strong for this first week, and then it changes to the 15th and 16th, and this is really interesting. During the 15th and 16th, we have Mars square the Sun, Neptune, and Mercury, all of them at 25 degrees. Now that's unusual. Yeah. That aggressive energy triggering the Sun, Neptune, and Mercury, all exactly at 25 degrees. So that's a huge, huge trigger.
And what day is that?
And that is the 15th and 16th of this month. About 10 days away, isn't it? And
I keep thinking about what I'm going to be doing when that's happening.
yeah.
Where am I going to be? What's going on?
Well, these energies have been building for a long time, and a lot of astrologers are talking about it. And it's a very dangerous and explosive time, okay? Not only for the airlines, but for earthquakes. Now, if you need to travel during those times, then you might want your chart looked at to see if you're going to be safe, because the chart will pinpoint if there's going to be a
So, Mom, after this call, we'll be
Okay.
looking at my.
okay.
I need to know what be going down.
Yeah.
Am I getting on a plane on Wednesday or not?
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll look at that, honey. And then on the 28th, we have Mars and the moon in a quincunx to Pluto in Aquarius, plus that same thing is trine Saturn. So we've got the heavy hitters of Saturn and Pluto and Mars, which is very aggressive energy. That's another powerful, powerful day with explosive properties on the 28th. Now the 30th has Venus conjunct Uranus, which is going to be another rock and roll day. It's like perfect energy for earthquakes. Okay. So the hits just keep on coming through the month.
It's like aggression, Mars,
Yeah.
anger.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And these train derailments that we've been seeing are not accidental. I think everybody knows that. You can't have 10, train derailments in a week or more and have it be coincidence. No. And don't believe the things that they're telling you about it. Okay. They're very nefarious. They're very nefarious plans about. We don't know all of the information on them as yet, but they had another train derailment in Springfield, Ohio, of a cargo train. I think it was Sunday. No, I think it was Saturday. And then when I talked about the toxicity of the water, there was a big dam built in Palestine, Ohio, to hold the toxicity, the toxic water, back, not going into the Ohio River. Well, they had huge rains and the dam broke, and all that toxic water went right down into the Ohio River. So we want to watch out for the toxicity in the water. I saw a thing too that made me sick, which they had a gallon of water they were selling at a store to use in baby formula. And the guy was reading the contents of it. It was tap water, and they suggested boiling it before you mixed it with the formula.
And it's water he bought.
It's water they bought.
Tap water.
Tap water. And it's not, it said it's not pristine, it's not pure. Boil it before you use it with the baby bottles. Might as well just use your own water at home and boil that water. But that's something that we have to really pay attention to, is the toxicity in our food and our drinks. And also heard a former Coke employee saying, "You're being poisoned."
Coca-Cola.
You're being poisoned with Pepsi and with Coke. So you just might as well know that now. You have to be very, very careful. We used to drink Coke all the time. We cut it cold turkey. You know.
That's one thing I never liked. I never had it, like, that's never been an issue for me, but I know, like, living in Mexico, they'll buy Coke before they'll buy water. Like, they put it in baby bottles. Like, it's some crazy,
Yeah.
I like it to see the amount of Coca-Cola that's like, but it's also one of the reasons why they have what do you call it, diabetes epidemic here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's really bad. Like, it's epidemic level here, the
Well,
diabetes.
and the medications that came out in the last 3 years cause diabetes. People don't realize that that's one of the symptoms of the medications.
You just have to be so careful. It's just educating yourself, like, and then also taking, like, responsibility. It's like, read their labels, read what's in it. And the thing is, now I know that even they can lie to you about what's in it. Like,
Yeah.
but we all intuitively know.
Intuitively know.
We
And
all intuitively
lazy, and we've all been lazy on occasion where we haven't followed through with our intuition, but now it's getting worse. You really need to follow through on your intuition. Sovereignty is going to be a huge issue moving forward. Personal sovereignty, where you say, I'm not going to comply. Not doing it.
not comply. I'm the boss of me. Thank you very much.
And, you know, sovereignty for nations and countries that do not want this one world government. And they're going to, and I will tell you this, it's going to reach a point where it's going to look worse before it looks better, but stay in faith, because it is going to change. They're not going to get their way. They're just not. And you need to have faith in that. There are more people that don't want this than who want it. The media makes it look like, oh, everybody wants this wonderful thing. No. So maintain your sovereignty, people. It's going to be huge throughout this year. Okay. So that's my spiel, and I'm sticking to it.
I always say, like, I'm the boss of me.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody telling me what to do.
Yeah.
Especially my government.
Yeah.
You are not the boss of me. I am the boss of me. Like, I know what's best for me. You don't.
Yeah.
Like,
they do not have your best interest at heart. Trust me.
No. And ultimately, everybody out there, you can do your own research. And at the end of the day, follow the money.
Yeah.
Follow the money. Who's making all the money?
It tells you
on every tragedy, on everything that's ever happened, who profited off of that?
Yep.
Who made the money? And it's scary when you actually start to look at it. And it's like, you know, just open your eyes, open your consciousness, open your ears, and tune in to the God of your understanding, and you'll know the truth.
Now, when they try and promote another big, huge outbreak, don't believe it. Nope. It's bring you back in fear. It's to make you heal like a dog with fear. That's what they want to do. Bring you to that point where you're so scared they can tell you to do anything, and you'll do it.
And not just that, you'll line up to do it.
You'll line up to do it. Yeah.
Which is what scares me, like, to see that this last one worked pretty well. People lined up because they had them so scared.
It was, they were considering that the dry run.
Yeah.
how many people would comply.
Yeah. No, it's true. They had
Not
to run a
me.
test and figure they had to run a test.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So you can expect that there'll be more of the fear porn coming up, but don't believe it. Stay close to the God of your understanding, stay in faith, stay in trust, stay in hope, and just ignore all of the stupidity. There are a lot more of us than there are of them.
yeah. And don't let fear make you make your decisions.
No.
Because you'll always, like you said, like when you're in fear, the frontal cortex of your brain does not function. Your ability to have logic and rationality and all of that kind of disappears. And it's not your fault. This is the thing, is it's just a natural, fight or flight reaction that happens. We're not, it's either fight or flight, like, and so when you don't have access to the frontal cortex of your brain, of your rationality and your, logical thinking, and you're in fear, and those fears make you make your decisions. Those are decisions. We always know that we always end up regretting those decisions.
Yeah.
Like, they're never good. They're never good. So it's so important that when you do feel something fear, because it's never like you're not going to feel, I still feel fear all the time. It's like when I hear something, it's like, oh, God, like, you telling me like, oh, this is a bad month for travel. And I'm like, I'm traveling this month. And to not go into fear, but to go, okay, wait a minute. Number one, I know I'm protected.
Yeah.
I know I'm protected. And number two, let me seek some deeper information. Like afterwards, I'm going to have a reading with you and I'm going to see what it looks like and really get more specific on what it looks like for me. And then it's just to be alert and to be cautious and to just, have my brain screwed on straight and be like, pay attention and know that this month is it's an aggressive month.
Energetic month. It really,
Yeah.
like I say, it's the turning point month. It's difficult. It's going to be difficult. But, I had a friend who went to get on a plane one time and he just had this bad feeling not to get on. And he didn't. And the plane crashed. So follow your intuition. And your intuition gets stronger the higher your frequency is. When you're in fear, your frequency is low. You're not getting intuition. But when you stay in your joy and your trust and your faith and all of that, your frequency is higher and you're getting accurate intuition, accurate information.
Yeah. And know that you'll be guided. And that's one thing I know is that I am guided. I am led. Like, I look like this.
Yeah.
God's got my back.
Right. Exactly.
Life loves me. God loves me. Whatever it is that made me loves the shit out of me. And it's got my back. That's a good feeling to know. And whatever you want to call it. Sometimes I say life's got my back. God's got my back. Whatever it is, has got my back. My only job is to manage the inner world.
Yeah.
Manage what's going on, what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, what my frequency is. That's really your only job.
Mastering.
Is to manage. Yeah, master yourself. Know thyself. Like, know thyself. And you will know what created you. Yeah. Like, it's powerful. And that you have the power within you right now. It's not something that you'll get tomorrow or next week. It's like when you actually realize that that is an ability and a power that you have within you now.
Yeah, right now.
Your only job is just to tune into it, align yourself with it.
And stop caring what other people think. Why would
so
you
irrelevant.
do something harmful to your body for fear of what other people will think of you?
Yeah.
That is insane.
Well, the issue is it's not even just what other people will think of you. Some people have been ostracized from their families.
Yeah.
Like cut up. Like it's harsh because like I know relationships that have ended because they believe different things, or the fear came in and it was like, I'm terrified, I'm going to do this. Well, I don't believe that, I'm doing this. And then, well, I'm sorry, I can't be with you anymore. And it's like, so it goes even beyond what people think about you. It's actually relationships and families. It's like what's happened in the last few years has torn families apart.
Yeah.
Like based off what decisions people have made, based on like, okay, I've done some research and I'm doing this and I'm I'm doing this 100%, like, and they're not in alignment, and it ends up creating, but we especially now have to be so compassionate
Yeah.
and loving and kind to everyone, because what happened over the last few years was so messed up, and we all made decisions or did, like, it doesn't matter what we did, but it's like having compassion and love for all of us and for everyone, and that we have to move forward,
Yeah,
in some way, and hopefully something that happened externally outside of us doesn't destroy the beauty of our lives, and not to let it, like, we just can't let it, and have compassion for people that believe different than you and think different than you, and you know, like my mom said, you can't change how people think, and you can rah all day long, which is what I tried to do with everybody. I was just like, I finally learned that I just need to shut up, because I'm not going to change the way anyone, like, I'm just pissing people off. Like, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut, and y'all are going to do what y'all going to do. My best bet is that all I can do is just say, do your best, keep your vibration high, and make your decisions from there.
that's right. You can't do more than that, and trust
Yeah.
that you're cared for.
Yeah. But God's got your back, peeps.
All right, all of you guys. Be sure
Awesome.
to
So you guys,
subscribe.
yeah, don't forget to subscribe, and you can follow her on Facebook. I highly recommend get on her newsletter. It's awesome. And ultimately, if you want to really give yourself an amazing gift, is have a reading with Mom. It's amazing and in-depth and powerful. And like she said, it's about mastering yourself and giving you the information about your strengths and your weaknesses, and how to use your strengths to overcome your weaknesses. And
Yeah.
it's empowering and positive.
A lot of people are afraid to get an astrology reading because they've heard somebody did something fearful, and they're afraid, they don't want to hear it. My readings aren't like that, guys.
No, they're very empowering. This is why I love it. It's very empowering. It's how to be the best version of you, and the potentials that you have within yourself, and to even see the gifts that you have that you may not even tapped into yet. Yeah. And that, that are there, that you have the potential for. It's really cool. So,
you all.
yeah, but stay connected. We will do another chit chat with my mom soon. Every couple of weeks, we're just trying to give you some updates. And if there's questions that you have, if there's questions about astrology or anything that you want answered, you can contact my mom directly. Again, all information is below. You can send questions directly to her if you want it answered privately, or if you'd like us to answer it on one of these calls. Makes it more interesting, and we love questions.
Yes.
So yeah, it's fun. Ask what you want, and we'll see you for our next chit chat with my mom. Thanks, Mom. That was awesome.
Guys, love you all. Stay safe. Bye.